Hello everyone, this is Chase Pounds. In today's video, we're going to be discussing about, or I should say reviewing a film called The Poseidon Adventure. Now what made me want to talk about this film is because it's the 50th anniversary of this film when it came out in 1972. And it's been a classic favorite of mine. Actually, I mentioned it in my very first video introduction about this movie. It's been one of my favorite films. The film is a disaster film, a seafaring shipwreck film of a fictitious story about a ship, ocean liner on its last voyage that is struck by a tsunami, a tidal wave that causes the ship to capsize and turn over on New Year's Eve, night of New Year's Eve, and the group of remaining survivors, had to try to find their way out of the ship to the upper decks, all the way up to the up all the way to the hull and break out of the ship before it goes under. This is a some of you may of older generation may know this film, what I'm talking about, but of my generation may not be familiar with this movie. And it's kind of similar to the Titanic. It's a fictitious story, but there's elements of the Titanic in it, such as I mentioned. At nighttime, the ship is struck by, instead of an iceberg, it's struck by a tsunami at night. And the ship kind of looks like the Titanic, even though the same design of it is similar. And it's actually shot on a real ocean liner called the Queen Mary, which supposedly, during its early days, it had an accident, went twice with a tsunami in 1930, or road wave they call it, sometimes called road wave, when a wave comes out of nowhere, where the ship was struck in 1937 by a road wave. It wasn't anything disastrous like in the film, but it said that a lot of people got sick or experienced seasickness from this encounter with the road wave. Then it had a similar incident during World War II in 1942, when it was a troop ship. It faced another road wave twice, but again, there was no tragedy, no sinking or anything like that. The film was also loosely based off a 1969 novel by the same name by Paul Gallagher, and the film was directed by Irwin Allen, who was responsible for a lot of the great science fiction TV shows and films in the 60s, between the 60s and the 70s. He did Lost in Space, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Time Tunnel, which features an episode of the Titanic. The very first episode features the travelers going back on time up on board the Titanic and trying to warn the captain to avoid the same fate. And sure enough, even though despite the warnings, the captain dismisses them, doesn't believe them, and the ship ends up sinking again as it did before. But this film, The Poseidon Adventure, and here's the cover of it. It starred Gene Hackman, Ernest Borgnine, Shirley Winters, an all-star cast. Carl Lindley, I think she may have passed away. So most of this cast has passed away. Ernest Borgnine has passed away, and as I said, Carl Lindley passed away. Shirley Winters passed away. And then there was I think that maybe the younger set of people, such as the daughter in the film, and I guess the sister, I should say, and because there's no parents, so it was the sister and the brother. They're probably still living. That was played by Pamela Sue Martin and I forget the name of the boy, what his name was, but this film was but um but this again, the film is a plot where the characters the characters have to I mean the characters, which are the survivors, have to again find to navigate their way through the ship up to the upper decks, all the way up to the from the dining area, from the dining room all the way up to the engine room, which I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I'm not gonna mention details about the film and the ending, but people do get lost in the way, and there's a lot of conflict because there's a lot of elements of I guess arrogance, ignorance, and hubrisness, which also plagues the Titanic as well, and some of this as well, such as the people don't, such as the purser in the film doesn't tries to prevent the passengers from trying to reach the safety of the upper decks, just similar as with the Titanic, where the stewardess is rumored that the stewardess